Hello everybody, this is Gwyneth and welcome to my channel. This is a forecast that runs from Wednesday the 18th. I know, it's past Wednesday the 18th. To Saturday the 28th, because I feel compelled to do a recap and to talk about the very strong transits we've experienced over the last week. But before I get going on all of this, I want to say to you that it's so important to me to have you listening to my videos. It makes all the world a difference when I get comments from you folks that cheer me on. So thank you to those people that are doing that. And also, if you like what I'm doing, please like, share, and subscribe. It helps to grow this channel, and it also supports me in my work. Now, the other thing I want to say is that there will be 4 other videos that follow this. They're shorter in length, I hope, and they deal with all of your sun signs, and I break them into the elements. So for the water signs, it's Cancer, Pisces, and Scorpio. The earth signs are Virgo, Taurus, and Capricorn. And then the fire signs, I have to think a minute, Sag, Leo, and Aries. And then the air signs are Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius. So when you go to look for yourself, if you know your rising sign, listen to your rising sign. But if you absolutely would know that your sun sign, so look that up too. And cross-watch if you want to. There's lots of information there. I also pull the tarot cards into that, the oracle cards. I like to overlap things, so let me know what you think. Okay, let's backtrack a little bit. I have to backtrack. I really do, because I've had so many people asking me so many questions that pertain to their lives and what's happening globally. I felt like it was important to go back and talk a little bit more down to earth about what's happening. Now, my wonderful community is filled with astrologers that are, so wonderful and so full of insight and so very clear on degrees and transits and aspects. But for you folks, for the ones that are listening to me, and who may not have the strong background in astrology, I want to make sure that you understand what's going on as well. So today we're going to talk about astrology from a nuts and bolts perspective. Really. So here we go. On Wednesday, the 18th, we had a total eclipse at 28 degrees of Aquarius. What does that mean? It means that the energy of that period of time was potent. It was analytical. It was, Aquarius is about analysis. It's about science. It's about research, because Aquarius's ruler is Uranus, and Uranus is all about science, technology, etc. This degree of Aquarius is called an anaretic degree. It's a potent degree. I said this in my last video. It's found in the charts of powerful people, world leaders. They might not be so apparent, but this supercharged the world around you. And if you have Aquarius planets in your chart, Leo, and several others, and we can talk about that later when I do each of the signs, you felt it very strongly. It also, and I may stop this video if my dog starts barking, and he is. So I'm going to stop the video because I don't want to lose you. Hang on one second. So the 18th was sort of the kickoff of almost like a door opening to a number of shifts in the energy around us. It might have churned the waters in some area of your life. Maybe people were cantankerous, or maybe people were nervous. There might have been a shift in the atmosphere altogether. I have heard from people around me, certain people, they're close to have died, or they're changing jobs, or they've decided to move into a new home. It sort of was the, when the first football gets tossed at a major football game and everybody starts to cheer, that was the kind of energy that this was. And it implicated powerful leaders as well, or brought focus on them. So don't get lost in the sauce where this is, so complicated. The big issue is that it put a spotlight on situations and also the people involved that made us feel that times are changing. So keep that in mind. Now, I talked about this in my last video. I'm going to talk about it again. I want to go over this because I think it's so important, and it's a aspect that will remain with us through March. So let's not skip over this. Now, I had somebody send me a text message, and they needed to have this explained to them in detail. And explaining it in detail astrologically isn't the way to go, I don't think. But here's what we're going to talk about. Neptune, the planet of vision, and I'm not talking about sight. I'm excuse me for a minute. I want to clean my glasses because I can't even stand it anymore. The planet of visionary knowing. The planet of picking up things psychically. The thing in your universe that inspires you to paint a picture, write poetry, become involved with a church group, meditate, find a place in the woods that calls your name and you decide you want to just go there all the time. This is the energy, the natural energy of Neptune. So what I did today, I brought my paintbrush. Let's pretend this is Neptune. Now, Neptune can be any kind of visionary practice. And through history, we've had plenty of visionaries. Joan of Arc, Martin Luther King. But let's pretend that this paintbrush represents all of those people and all of those mediums, whether it's painting, dance, political action, literary work, anything that has anything to do with calling on your inner resources to channel special information. This represents that. What we had was a partnering. See my paintbrush? It's a very big paintbrush. We had a partnering, which is called a conjunction, with Saturn. And Saturn is about practicality. And Saturn is about taking things seriously. And it's a little bit traditional, and it involves hard work. So I went into my drawer and pulled out the spoon. The wooden spoon of mixing up and working hard and using this when you make bread and making messes with it in order to create something practical and take care of things that will feed people and make things come to order. Neptune and Saturn decided to come together in a certain kind of marriage in the sign of Aries. I have Aries here represented by a candle. This candle ignites these two forces. Saturn helps the visionary, Neptune, to take action and get busy. Neptune helps Saturn to temper its natural instincts, to only do things that are traditional, to only do things when it's necessary. But Neptune says to Saturn, help me develop my insight. And when these two energies come together, whether it's because of spirituality or because you have a child, maybe you have a child that's an incredible soccer player and can almost intuit the soccer field. They are this. With your help, with your practical help, that child can grow into something special. So I'm being a little silly illustrating with a spoon and a paintbrush, but this is the energy right now. And it's with us through March. And it ignites us to take action and to follow our hunches, to follow our visionary call to action with the help of Saturn. I hope that helps. It's been all I can do to people who have been asking me this question all week. What does that mean? What is happening? Why do I feel so discordant? You know, it's cognitive dissonance. I hope you have heard that term before. It's when your mind, what you understand intellectually, is not meeting up with what you feel physically. Why does it all feel so wibbly wobbly? And it's in part because we are going through some kind of transition, and these two forces are working together as a team. Usually you don't have this. And on top of it, to make it even more interesting, we have not historically, because astrologers work with historic issues, they look at transits and they look back hundreds of years. We haven't had a 0 degree uniting of Neptune and Saturn for hundreds of years. We've had other degrees of Saturn and Neptune, 0.58 or whatever, but this is directly correlating at 0 degrees, which is important to astrologers, but it's also a very powerful step, new step for our society. We're starting to take those visionary people a little bit more seriously. Now, we're not talking about people who are simply interested in tripping the light fantastic, although I think that's fun too. But we're talking about uniting energy plus vision, and it changes the whole dynamic. So let me move on. On Sunday, the 22nd, which was yesterday for me, we had Venus, which is all about love, beauty, and harmony, have this harmonious, beautiful connection with Jupiter in Cancer. So it was Venus in Pisces and Jupiter in Cancer, and they're two water signs. We can look back to 2014 or thereabouts when this happened the last time. You may have had an idea that you wanted to push forward. Maybe you wanted to apply for a grant of some sort. Maybe you wanted to study abroad. Maybe you wanted to become a ballet dancer. Maybe whatever. But look back 12 years because you'll get an insight that you didn't have before. And this is a very, comfortable position. Maybe you feel that you really are contributing a lot to a situation at work or in your home life. So that's an interesting factoid. And then on Thursday, the 26th, Mercury retrogrades, and it's in the sign of Pisces. And we all know about Mercury retrogrades. It can turn the communication systems upside down. It can also affect your ability to plan. You might become a little confused about places, things, or people that you're supposed to connect with. This particular retrograde will stay with us for 9 weeks. So bear that in mind. On Friday the 27th, the sun will conjunct the North Node in Pisces. It's a positive energy, and it's a flowing energy. At the same time, which I think it helps to balance it out a little bit, Mars in Aquarius will square Uranus in Taurus. It's the Knock'em Sock'em robots. That's on Friday the 27th. You may find that you have found a way to stand up for yourself. You may have found that maybe at work you're able to voice your disagreement. You may be ready to let go of some action or behavior that has not been working for you. So keep that in mind, write that down. On Saturday the 28th, we have Mercury conjuncting Venus, both Mercury and Venus in the sign of Pisces. So it's a good time. I always say this, there's always a light at the end of the tunnel. It's a chance to get out and, socialize, especially for the water signs and the earth signs. Socialize, spend some time with family, get out and do something that you really enjoy. I know in the Northeast right now, we are buried under a blizzard, but hopefully by the 28th, we start to feel like we have dug out from under, a coating of snow. But for all of the rest of you who are not experiencing that, this is a fantastic time for all of us to get out and enjoy the people that we care about, because it is involving Venus, and it is a good time to get together and talk and share ideas and plan some get-togethers. So this should be a very interesting week. This rounds out February, and it's been a amazing period of time. I can't tell you how potent it is, and it's still continuing to roll along, particularly because of Neptune and Saturn, Neptune, working together to push an agenda. Now, before I leave you, I don't want to make this too simple for you. Some of you are excellent astrologers. Some of you are people with acumen way, way above most people's abilities and talents. But I really feel like all of us need to be able to communicate and stay on the same page. So that's why I make the videos the way I do. And for some of my friends, I've been asked repeatedly what that transit is and what are we calling it, because I feel it. Over and over again, I've seen people feel very, very disoriented, especially over the last few days. It's been very powerful. And not only in amongst people that are close to each other, but in the workplace or in places where you're trying to buy something and the object of your desire is nowhere to be found, even though it's being advertised as such. So folks are confused for many reasons, and I can't spend the time to illuminate it all, but listen to me. There is a shift occurring. For some people, it's magical. For some people, it's disorienting. I beg you, and I'm going to say this proudly and loudly, I think it's important that we all find something that grounds us, whether it's baking bread. I am very much into cooking, so I bring that up first. Baking bread, creating new recipes, going for a long run, spending time organizing the change that you collect in a little jar next to the stove. Grounding energy and grounding yourself doesn't mean you have to sit on a cushion and meditate, although that's nice too. But find something that puts you in the now, that gives you a sense of well-being, that pulls you away from harsh distractions, so that you can focus and feel centered. Myself, I'm into cooking. I like to find things that make people healthy and taste good at the same time. I also suggest things like collecting material, going for hikes, going with your children to collect rocks. Whatever works for you that feels quieting and easy for you to participate in. Doesn't have to be expensive, doesn't have to be complicated. We all need this right now, because it's as if the tectonic plates have moved. As if the sands are shifting, as if we're riding in a car where the chassis is moving one way and you're moving the other. However you want to describe it, we're all a little kerfuffles. I made up the word. And please share your ideas with me. I am more than happy to accept your ideas about what it takes to get grounded. For some people, it's sitting in a bathtub once a day. For others, it's digging in their garden. I know these things sound old-fashioned, but as long as you're focused and finding something simple to put your attention on, it will help you a lot. At least that's what I think. And I've been talking to a lot of friends about this lately. We've had long conversations and about what it means to be grounded and focused. I had a friend call me the other day who asked me that question: how do I do this? And I know this person really well, and I know what they're interested in. And I said, well, have you been doing X, Y, or Z recently? And they said no. Well, I said, it's time to do it again. So I lovingly implore that you help people around you find reasons to reach out, and hopefully things will start to smooth as we move through March. We'll talk about it some more. And in the meantime, check out the readings that I'll be posting over the next couple days that deal with your sun signs. And so for that, I leave you. Take care and be well.